I'll get something off my chest before I start this review. Although I have a Kinect at home, I rarely touch it. Not because I don't find it interesting to use, but because I feel that a controller can give me a much more rewarding gaming experience. Now, with that being said, there are times when I can really get sucked into a piece of hardware because of its software, and this may just be one of those times. This is Leedmees for Xbox Live Arcade and Kinect. Leedmees was developed by Konami, one of the bigger names in the industry, so even though I don't really like Kinect, I had high expectations going in. It plays like a puzzle game, but instead of controlling just one character, you act as a guide for a number of creatures that must get from point A to point B. When the game started up, a big light bulb went off in my head as I realized why it was called Leedmees. Get it? Lead me? Anyway, these Leedmees are best described as stupid, but that's okay. That isn't an AI problem. Rather, it's actually the reason why you're playing. Since the Leedmees will just keep walking in one direction, it's up to you to pick them up and toss them into the end portal. Now, before you go to the marketplace and pick this up, I must warn you that you need a ton of room to play it. The underwater base gives me a pretty good area to stand in, but I still found myself with my back up against the wall as I ran from one end of the room to the other. However, that does mean that this is going to give you a decent workout. In addition to moving your legs, Leedmees also requires you to keep your arms parallel to the floor for the majority of the game, so this is definitely not for someone that has shoulder problems. The beautiful thing about Leedmees is that it's the first game I've ever played that actually seems to take advantage of Kinect properly. A game like this would be almost impossible to make with a conventional controller, or at least impossible to make fun. Where Leedmees shines is in its ability to make the player forget the controller setup is usually preferred. Again, that's assuming you have enough space to play it, otherwise it'll be a nightmare. There's also a multiplayer option included, but at this point you're probably going to need a gymnasium to play that. However, if you have a big enough area, by all means try it out. You'll probably have a good time. And if you find that gym, please lead me to it. You see what I did there? Visually, Leedmees is extremely interesting. The game doesn't try to do too much on the screen at once, but this really works in its favor. Everything is really 2D looking, but that's just fine. A game like this does not require 3D, and Konami's been around long enough that they realize this. Speaking of which, bring back 2D Castlevania to consoles. Like tomorrow. Leedmees is one of those games that manages to finally make me like a new piece of hardware. Just like Wii Sports, Mario 64, and Halo, Leedmees has managed to make me join the bandwagon. I'm not going to say that Leedmees is going to make me love Kinect, but it has definitely made me dislike it a lot more.